Welcome back. In this video, I'm going to talk to you about the #1 wealth killer. This is the one thing that's killing your chances to ever be financially free. Did you know that only 8.8% of all American households are net worth millionaires? Only 8.8%. That means the 91.2% are not net worth millionaires and are likely never going to become one. Why? Because of this one thing: your car payment. Yes, your car is keeping you from ever having a chance of becoming a millionaire. My husband and I will be driving around, and he's a big truck guy, and I'm amazed here in Utah and in Texas, looking around, that truck and that truck and that truck, and I'm like, honey, how much does that kind of truck cost? And he said, that's easy, a 6-figure truck. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like, that's lunacy, really? Like, how many people can afford those big ass trucks? Those trucks are a sign of freedom. It's the American way. Yet that truck, the sign of freedom, is keeping you from financial freedom. So let's break that down and see why that's the case. First of all, I did a little research for this video, and I found out that the average car costs, any guesses? The average car cost $47,000. $47,000. All right, average car. But the problem is we don't go buy cars. We go buy car payments. And that nice car salesman says, hey, you can afford the $47,000 car. I can sell this to you. Just tell me how much you can afford on a monthly basis. And therein lies the problem, because we don't buy cars in this country. We buy car payments for car payments for car payments. In fact, we don't trade cars for cars. We trade car payments for car payments. So let's break this down. Now, there are different types, different term car payments. There's a 36-month, a 48-month, a 60-month. Now, what term do you think they go with? Do they go with the short term, the 36-month, or do they go with the long term, the 60-month? In most cases, people are dragging out their car payments in order to afford these expensive cars. But without doing the math, we don't know how much extending these terms are actually costing us. So let's break it down and let's look at this. All right, so a 36-month car payment on a $47,000 car at a 7% interest rate, which I think interest rates are probably hovering somewhere around that percentage at this point in time. All right, so 36 months. Now, what I recommend is you never buy a car for more than a 36-term loan. Why? You pay too much in interest. Ultimately, you'll pay too much for the car, but that's the problem. We have these long terms. My advice is, if you can't afford the car payment at the 36 months, you can't afford the car. All right, but let's look at this. What is a 36-month loan payment at 7% interest on a $47,000 car? Again, any guesses? We're looking around $1,400. $1,400 for a car payment on a $47,000 car. All right, that sounds like a chunk of money, but $1,400. But let's even extend this out a little bit more. What do you think you're paying in interest on that 36-month loan? How much do you think you're paying on interest? Again, any guesses? We're probably looking around $5,200. So you're paying $5,200 of interest. So then that means you're not buying a $47,000 car. How much car are you buying? You're buying a car that's $52,200. So that's how much more you're paying for the car for this 36 loan by getting the loan in the first place. Meaning, if you paid cash, you'd only be paying $47,000. Now, let's extend that out. Say, I can't afford $1,400 a month. So, Mr. Car Salesman, keep me under $1,000. He says, no problem. I can do this in 5 years. This car can be fully yours, and all it's going to cost you is about $930 per month. But again, close to $1,000 for a car payment. Oh my goodness. So $1,000, but now we've extended the term, so we're going to pay more in interest. Any guesses how much you'll pay in interest? So we're moving it from about $5,200 to over $9,000 of interest. Again, you're not buying a $47,000 car, you're buying a $56,000 car. So you can see how this works. And what this is this is just money you're giving the bank, that car bank, just handing it over. And would you rather have $9,000 in your pocket or $5,000? We're just giving our money away to these banks by driving these new expensive cars without doing the math and actually know what it's costing us. All right, so that's the average car. What about the luxury cars for those that are earning six figures, and now we're paying for that emblem? And what is that emblem costing us? I did a little research, and the average luxury car is $70,000. So just to drive with the BMW or the Mercedes or the Acura or the fill in the blank emblem, whatever your favorite luxury emblem is, you're paying an extra $23,000 on average for the car, just for the emblem. I don't know, maybe those luxury cars have some new features, but I don't even know if they have that much amount of new features, better features over your average $47,000 car. But again, let's look at this. All right, so how much would you pay on a monthly basis on a 36-month loan for a $70,000 car at that 7%? Any guesses? $2,100 a month for that car payment, for that luxury car. $2,100 a month. Oh my gosh, if we only knew what that $2,100 could do for us in our wealth creation, but instead we're putting it towards that fancy truck with the big tires and the grills and all the other stuff that those big trucks offer us. I even wonder how many of those truck drivers actually use them as trucks. Do you ever put anything in that back tailgate thing, or what's the back bed? Do you ever put down the tailgate? Anyway, I'm just curious. But what do you think the interest now is going to be on this 36-month loan on this $70,000 car at 7%? It's going to be roughly $8,800. Again, that's how much you're paying. So $70,000. So what are you doing? We're like at over $78,000 for that same car once you tack on the interest. But you're like, no way, I can't afford $2,100 for a car payment. Are you kidding me? Extend that baby out to 5 years. So that's the good side, is we get to reduce that payment from $2,600 to about $1,400. But again, longer period of time that we're paying that off, which means it's going to be more in interest. So how much are we paying interest? On this one, we're paying $13,000 of interest, which means we're paying close to $83,000 for that car. So just let that sink in a little bit. But this is the wealth killer. We're driving these car payments that are killing our opportunity to put that money that's going to be would put towards wealth creation. All right, so now we're looking at cars. I also want to go over here. Like I said, only 8.8% of Americans are net worth millionaires. But the reason why I like to state that, because I don't know, on TikTok and Instagram and Facebook, probably even on YouTube, it makes it sound like everybody's a millionaire. Everybody's making millions of dollars by doing all this stuff online. Not true. The statistics say otherwise. But also what it looks like is everybody's making a ton of money, right? Their monthly or annual income is, hundreds of thousands of dollars a month. Who knows? That's what it appears to be. So I thought it would be helpful, again, just to ground in some factual numbers so that we can know the reality or the truth of what true financial situations are out there in our universe. So the average American household, again, this is usually two-income families, but the average household income for the U.S. is about $106,000. So nice six-figure income. That's great. Now, all these numbers I'm going to put up on the board here are pre-tax, meaning this is gross income. We're making less than this. We're taking home less than this once we factor in those taxes. But again, gross income. But what do you think to be in the top 20% of all income earners in the U.S.? it bumps up to about $120,000. So that's $10,000 a month. Now, to make clear, in all these like online programs, it says easy, make $10,000 a month by investing in my coaching program, for example. I'll show you how to make $10,000 a month. And like I've said in other videos, that $10,000 a month is gross revenue for your business. It's not minus expenses. So when you're making $10,000 a month in your business, you're not making $10,000 a month in your household. You're making less. But in this case, to be in the top 20%, you're making $10,000 a month in your household. Not bad. 20%. So top 20%. Now, to get to the top 10%, again, this means 90% of Americans are making less than this. But top 10%, it's bumping up to $215,000. So $250,000 is top 10%. Again, it makes it sound on TikTok that everybody's making millions of dollars. So just go through this. You're bumping up to $295 to be in the top 5%, and you're bumping up to about $591 or close to $600 to be in the top 1%. So just ground yourself. Where are you in the top? What percentile are you in? And I just think it's really important to know that despite what it looks like the internet, the truth is very few people are making more than $250,000, and most people are making, over 80% are making less than $120,000 a year household income pre-tax. All right, so now I'm going to move us to the boxes, and this is what I call the Bermuda Triangle of personal finance, meaning this is where your money gets lost, this is where it never returns, and this is what keeps you in the place of, whirling in circles and crashing and burning and never reaching that place of financial freedom. And of all the money stuff out there, I don't know if I've seen it broken down like this, and I thought this would be helpful so that you can understand why it's important to not be putting our money towards this number one wealth killer over here. All right, so there's these 4 categories of money, basically, and the first one is income. So pretty easy to understand. So I'm going to use, in this example, $8,000 a month. That's about $96,000 a year, which let's say is the average household income minus some taxes, but $8,000 a month. Decent income. All right, so now what we have is we have expenses. So each month we make money and then we spend money on our bills. And we're pretty familiar with that. We make money, we pay bills, money in, money out, money in, money out, and that's usually as much thought as we give to it. But there are these 2 other money categories that are really crucial that you understand and pay attention in your money and wealth building journey. And the other box is called assets, and this one is called liabilities. So it's really important that you understand your assets and your liabilities, as well as monitoring your income and making sure you have enough money to pay your bills. Now, what happens is that every time we get another liability, our cost of living goes up. So what happens is something called Parkinson's Law. We went from $5,000 a month to $8,000 a month in income, and then we get more liabilities, meaning we get a bigger mortgage payment, or we get a bigger car payment, or we put more money on the credit card to buy all the furniture for the new house, whatever the case is. So what happens as our income goes up, our liabilities go up. And then when our income goes up more, our liabilities go up more. And that goes on forever, which means when our income goes up, we get a bigger mortgage, which is a bigger liability. We get a bigger car payment, which is liability. We get more on our credit card, which is more liability, which means our expenses go up. And that goes on forever. And so we get locked into what I call this Bermuda Triangle. So let's just say in the US, the average mortgage is around $450,000. So $450,000 mortgage, that's a liability on your personal balance sheet. Over here, we said kind of the average car is $47,000, but let's just round that up to $50,000. Means we have a $50,000 loan on our car. That's a liability. And if you click the link up here, in my last video, I shared with you my accelerated debt elimination program that teaches you how to get out of debt, how to get out of debt fast, and how to save thousands of dollars in interest. But it's basically how you just totally eliminate all of your debt rapid fast. In that video, I talk about that the average credit card debt in the US is $17,500. So we'll round up here and we'll just say that your credit card debt is $18,000. So this means these are your liabilities on your balance sheet. Your mortgage is a liability, your car loan's a liability, and your credit cards are a liability. Now, also in the US, for those that have student loans, the average student loan payment or student loan is $40K. So these are liabilities, and let's assume you have zero in assets. What this means is we're in the red. And then in another video, I talk about the money spectrum, and on the money spectrum, you can look at are you in the red or in you black, and how you want to move from the red to the black in the money spectrum video. But in this case, so what we're doing is that if we don't have a student loan in this case, we have $518,000 worth of liabilities. That means we're in the red of $518,000, assuming we have no assets. And if we add on the student loans, then we have the 518 plus the 40, which is 558 of debt liabilities. So that we want to keep track of. Now, what does that do over here? This mortgage of $450, that's about $3,300 in mortgage payment. That's your principal, your interest, your taxes, and your insurance. And if you buy a house, get a mortgage for $450,000, around 7%, this is more or less what it's going to cost you today. Now that car payment we've already looked at, let's just say we have a car payment of $1,400. We're either up here at this 36-month loan, or we're down here at this 60-month loan, or maybe we have a couple car payments, but we're just going to use this $1,400 a month car payment on this $50,000 to $70,000 car loan. Now, on the credit card payment, again, on my accelerated debt elimination, the credit card payment for about $18,000 of debt, the minimum payment is going to be about $850 a month. So if we look at these and we add these up, this is what this total is $5,550. And if we do have a student loan, that's going to be about a $450 minimum payment, and that's going to take our monthly spend to $6,000. So let me repeat that. So for our $450,000 loan, it's about a $3,300 month payment. For a $50,000 car, it's going to be a $1,400 payment. For an $18,000 credit card, it's going to be an $850 month payment. The total of those three is going to be $5,550 per month. But if we have this average student loan, that's this extra $40,000 in debt, that's going to be an extra $450 minimum payment for a total of $6,000 per month. So now if we look at this, if this $5,550 or this $6,000, that is how much money we're spending to service these liabilities. Now we're making $8,000. So if $8,000 minus just these liabilities, then all we have in this case is like $2,450 left over to pay all the rest of the bills. And if we have the credit card debt here, then we have only $2,000 left, because you take the $8,000 minus the $6,000 means we have $2,000 left over to pay all the other bills. Or in this case, the $8,000 minus $5,550 is the $2,450 to pay the rest of the bills. And this is why we're tight. So this is what happens. Like I said, income goes up, liabilities go up, expenses go up. And this goes on forever. So what's the missing box? The lonely box, the island, is saying, hey, what about me? What about me? And this is why we have so few millionaires. We have to grow assets. So what we want to do is we want to get out of this trap, and we want to move it from this goes up, this goes up, this goes up. And over time, we want our income go up, we want our liabilities to go down, and we want kind of our expenses to go down relative to our income. So different arrows, different directions. And what do we do with the difference? So in this case, let's say that $1,400 car payment, you got the 36-month loan instead of the 60, you've paid it off in 3 years, and this is what you do. Cars are so well built today. They'll last 10, 15, maybe even 20 years. Get the car, get a nice car, take care of it, maintain it well, and then drive it forever. And then this $1,400 a month that all your neighbors are paying towards those perpetual car payments that they're going to get a car payment for the next 20, 30, and 40 years. As long as they're working, they have a car payment, at least one car payment. Instead, you're going to put this $1,400 and you're going to invest this $1,400 per month into some form of assets. I don't care. Just put it in an index fund. Put it in the stock market. Do something with it. But that $1,400 a month. And what if we got rid of that credit card? What if we did Kristina's accelerated debt payoff? We got out of that $850 credit card debt. Now we have the $850 credit card debt for a total of $2,250. So we already know we can afford this $2,250 because we don't have a car payment anymore and we paid off our credit cards. So we have this $2,250 that was going towards the banks, the like I said, the car debt and the car interest and the credit cards. So now, what is this $2,250 going to be worth? Put it into ChatGPT and say, hey, ChatGPT, if I invested $2,250 a month for, let's say, 20 years, how much would I be worth at the end of 20 years? At the end of 20 years, you'd be worth $1.7-ish million. Now, what if you did it for 40 years? Just saying, just curiosity that you had the ability that you're making this $8,000 a month and you're putting $2,250 away for 40 years during the whole time that you're working, during your 40-year working career. And this is where it's staggering. If you invested this $2,250 in the market for 40 years and didn't miss a payment, you're going to be worth, let's say, roughly $14 million. That's crazy. Instead, we're not building a net worth. Let's say it's half of $14 million. We're not doing that. Instead, we're driving those big fancy trucks and fancy emblem cars, and we're holding this credit card debt without any idea of what it's costing us. So this is what I want to point out, so that when we have the truth and we have the knowledge, we can make different decisions. But now what we want to do, how this works is that, like I said here, every time you have a liability, you gain a liability, you get more expense. We want to get out of that trap, and instead we want to get rid of these liabilities. We want to move it to this box to buy assets so that it grows to these amounts. And then what happens is these assets then turn into income. And if we use the 5% rule on $1.7 million, if we had $1.7 million of asset value, how much income do you think that's going to produce for us? And that's going to create about $7,000 per month if we had this $1.7 million. So why don't we quit driving the truck, stay out of credit card debt, put the money over here, build this $1.7 to $2 million net worth, and then we're going to make our $8,000 of passive not working income that comes out of this box. This box is what creates the passive income. So then we don't have to work for that $8,000 by hustling every single day and going to our day job. Instead, we let our assets pay us because our money's at work and doing the work for us. To summarize all of that up, hopefully it all makes sense. But we want to get out of this Bermuda Triangle and get out of this. Perhaps let's give up this number one wealth killer and instead put the money, that $1,400 monthly car payment and that $850 credit card payment, let's get rid of those payments and let's pay ourselves instead. Let's pay the Krisstina Bank, the Brad Bank, the Joe Bank, the Sally Bank. Pay us so that we can start filling this box to have the passive income and live a wealthy, wealthy life. All right, I have a little gift for you that, since you made it to the end of this video, this is my Millionaire Formula Workbook. It's going to help you determine a lot of these numbers that I just put on the board here. And I put a link in the description box. Just click the link and you can get this book that will help you fill in all these blanks and just start to get on the right page and start building this really profitable relationship with your money. That's all I've got for today. Thanks for hanging in. I'll see you next time.